with Supergirl doing the opposite of up, up, and away at the box office, and Millie Alcock's word salad kind of being at the center of it, I thought this would be a good time to talk about what word salad is, where it comes from, and why certain people seem so prone to using it, especially at certain specific types of times. While Millie and Pooh Bear are thinking, I'd like you to think about hitting the subscribe button and leaving a like on this video, and we'll read between the lies.
I think because she doesn't live inside the binary of what we think a woman should be.
The binary of what we think a woman should be. If anyone thinks that that isn't word salad, please go ahead and explain to me in the comments what she meant by that and why her choice of words was effective. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have absolutely nothing against Millie Alcock. I was a theater kid, and she reminds me a lot of my friends from way back when I was in high school. And I'm not telling you what you should think or feel about her. If you have strong feelings about her one way or another, you probably know more about her than I do. But the way I think about this is she is a young professional actress, and being a professional actor or actress is basically standing where you're told to stand and saying what you're told to say. And a lot of people are comparing this to Rachel Zegler, and there certainly are some similarities you could say, but the difference is Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot during those interviews very clearly had talking points that they were given, which included a lot of what Zegler said, but she just took it too far and too often, and then she started doing stuff on her own social media, whereas these kind of gaffes from Millie are just her answering questions, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's had a few drinks when she's doing most of these interviews. She's a tiny little woman, so it would take like a drink or two to get her kind of lost in the sauce. And as we'll see as we look at other examples, people become more and more likely to engage in word salad when they've had alcohol or some other type of drug that lowers their inhibitions or increases their confidence. And even if she hasn't had any drinks or drugs or anything at this point, assuming that she's been going around having a bunch of people come up to her, wanting to ask her questions, wanting to take pictures and take her video, that'll get your adrenaline going, and you'll start to get into this kind of a social flow. And I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying what I think might be the cause of this. But let's take a look at that clip again, and I'll explain where I think she's coming from with this, which is actually kind of funny.
I think because she doesn't live inside the binary of what we think a woman should be.
The binary of what we think a woman should be. Now, my first observation about this, even though I'm not an expert on DC Comics lore, of course Supergirl exists outside of what we would expect a woman to be because she's an alien with superpowers. She's basically indestructible by our standards, and it would be very odd for anyone to expect a woman to be like that. So almost no matter what she actually meant by this, it's a ridiculous statement. But she had to throw the word binary in there. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Millie necessarily knows exactly what binary means. And it's possible a lot of people don't actually know what binary means, because I'm not sure if I would know what it means if I hadn't learned a little bit of programming at one point in my life. But basically, it just means there are two options. And old school computer code was pretty much pure binary, and everything was either a 0 or a 1. It was off or it was on. It was male or it was female. And of course, a big part of the gender ideology that I'm sure Millie has been raised within and told to support is the idea of non-binary people who don't associate with male or female because they're just some magical force of nature that exists outside of the binary. And my guess is that Millie doesn't know the actual definition of binary, which I'm not making a statement about her intelligence or education level. I think there's probably lots of people who are her age or older, who are as educated as her or more, who don't know the definition of that word. She's probably just heard it a lot within the gender ideology. And within that ideology, binary is basically just looked at as a bad thing. And my guess would be that she thinks binary means restrictive or repressing or taking away options or something like that, some sort of negative, restrictive thing. And so she threw the word binary in there as if to say Supergirl can be something that's out of this world because she knows no restrictions. So I think that's what she meant. I think she just threw the word binary in there as like a negative amplifier. So instead of saying she's outside of what we expect women to be, she's saying she's outside of the restrictions of what we expect women to be. And it just shows that she's kind of talking out her ass and trying to stick to the ideology that's clearly espoused by the studio and the producers and the directors and everyone who she's working for. And that's one of the key differences between what she's doing and what Rachel Zegler did, is that Rachel Zegler took it way too far, and then she continued to take it way too far on her own social media, even after they told her to pull it back. Whereas I don't really think that Millie is saying anything that James Gunn or anyone else who's higher up at the studio would have an issue with. I think she's saying exactly what they want her to say, albeit not in the most eloquent way possible. And I don't want to focus on Millie too much. I just thought it was funny because the binary of what we expect a woman to be, that was just such a perfect and succinct example of word salad that, I mean, even Gordon Ramsay would kiss his fingers at the way she put that salad together.
There's been a lot of discussion online about Kara's queerness in the comics. Was that something that you explored when you were preparing for the role?
Just to clarify, because I actually have trouble understanding that guy's accent, and he kind of circled around what he said several times.
There's been a lot of discussion online about Kara's queerness in the comics. Was that something that you explored when you were preparing for the role?
And he started the question in a very disingenuous way that journalists often do, which is by saying there's been a lot of discussion online about, and that might be true, it might not be true, but what do you mean by that? A lot of discussion online could mean 3 people tweeted about it, and they might all be people that work at this media outlet. But that still could constitute a lot of discussion online, or he could just be lying. And so he said there's been a lot of discussion online about the character's queerness, and asked her if that was something that she prepared for or integrated into the role. And you can see how she laughed in a way that makes me think that she's probably had a couple drinks and she's probably a little bit uncomfortable. And now she's looking off to the left as if she's trying to remember what she should say in this type of a situation.
It wasn't, but in honor of...
Now keep in mind, the first thing that she says is, it wasn't. So the actual answer to his question is no. But as she's looking to the left and laughing and giving herself time, she's remembering what she's supposed to say in this type of a situation.
Pride Month, as I'm getting all
In honor of Pride Month,
these questions.
as I'm getting all of these questions, so in honor of Pride Month, and because everybody wants me to,
I don't know. I think that what makes this film so beautiful is that it's not centered around a man. It's not centered around love at all.
and I think from this clip, that's the thing that most people are taking issue with, because she said the thing that makes this film great is that it's not centered around a man. Now, I personally think that it's very important to call out misandry when we see it, but I don't really think that's what this is. I think what she was going for here is it's not centered around a straight romance. It's not centered around romance at all. And to be fair, I'm not sure if anyone knows what this story is actually centered around. It doesn't seem particularly well written.
If anything,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I don't really know, but I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
it's
I don't know.
great.
She'd probably go both ways.
And then at the end, she says she probably goes both ways, which means she's probably bisexual, but Keep in mind, that was after she said no and then said, I don't know, like a half dozen times. So I'm pretty sure that was a joke. And it appears that this clip was from Queerly Radio. And to me, this is just the smile of a young actress who has been told where to stand and what to say, and she's doing her job. And that's not to say that this isn't 100% reflective of her personality or her beliefs, but that's just what it strikes me as. It really doesn't seem like the same type of situation as with Rachel Zegler. But no discussion of word salad would be complete without some words from the salad tosser-in-chief, Kamala Harris.
Our spirit is not defeated. We are not defeated. Let's be clear about that.
So she wants us to be clear about the fact that we have not been defeated, even though I'm pretty sure this was her concession speech after she had just been defeated. But her spirit has not been defeated, so we need to be clear about that.
We are strong. We are clear about why we are in this. And because you're here right now, I say, again, thank you, because not only are you clear about all of that, you're willing to put in the hard work.
A young actress like Millie Alcock can certainly present some sharp and intriguing word salad, but no one without years of experience in politics and higher education can concoct such a complex cacophony of verbal vegetables as that. And what's interesting about this is she started off almost making sense, and then she got into sentences that were way too long, and she started repeating terms where it didn't really make sense to, and just throwing out random pieces of vocabulary that people on her side are trained to respond positively to. So it's like a much more developed version of what Millie was doing when she threw the word binary into a sentence where it didn't make any sense whatsoever.
We are clear about why we are in this. And because you're here right now, I say, again, thank you, because not only are you clear about all of that, you're willing to put in the hard work.
And that really illustrates a point of what word salad is. A lot of words that don't actually mean anything. And what Kamala did here is just repeat herself using slightly different vocabulary. And then a couple times she slipped up and repeated the exact same word, like saying clear over and over again.
And that work must continue. We cannot let any circumstance or situation or individual ever take away our power to know why we do what we do and our ability to then get that work done.
I didn't even know that it was possible for a word salad to be aromatic, but I feel like that word salad had a distinct aroma to it, kind of like bullshit.
And especially because we know what we stand for, and that's why we know what to fight for.
Now, I don't have any personal knowledge on her alcohol or drug consumption habits, but I have seen many people acknowledge that Kamala might be on the sauce more often than not, especially when she's at some sort of a public speaking event like this. Again, I'm not saying anything. I know nothing one way or the other. She was slurring her words a little bit there, although to be fair, that can happen when you're tired or when you've been speaking a lot. But another thing that happens when you're drunk, in addition to slurring your words, is you can have a little bit more confidence in your speaking abilities than you should, as in you might be feeling good about what you're saying. You might be feeling like you're making a lot of sense. And because you're feeling so good about it, you just kind of keep cruising in your momentum and fill in the blanks with whatever words you need to. And this is very common for people who are embedded in leftist politics or who are virtue signaling about leftist values like Millie was, because they have a lot of vocabulary that you can just sort of throw out anywhere you want. And other people who are on that side will respond positively to it, regardless of whether you make any sense at all.
The work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
She just took 20 seconds to say, the work that we have done has caused Israel to do some things as a result of the work that we have done. I'll leave you with that. And I hope that the work that you have done will include liking this video, subscribing, and coming back to see the next one.